How can I help? Oh, it's you. I'm glad to see you again, sweetie. Have you really polished off all those books in your hand there? My, I am always impressed by your voracious appetite for knowledge. You come by so often, I can't help but wonder if you visit the Imperial Library for more than just books. Perhaps there's someone you'd like to see? Someone who works here? Just the books? All right, then. I see you'd like to get straight to business as always. I'll just take those from you. Oh, careful, hun. I haven't finished filing down my claws yet. I don't want to scratch that lovely skin of yours. There we are. You know, most people with dragon blood in their veins wish they had gotten the claws. But honestly, I just find them a hassle. They grow so quickly, and I need a special nail file to keep them in check. They sharpen themselves almost every week, and it takes forever to dull them down. I'd much prefer to have been born with the ordinary human nails. My, if it were up to me, I'd ditch the claws and get more scales instead. Everyone assumes that they're all hard and sharp like real dragon scales, but for me they're actually quite soft and flexible. They're so much easier to take care of than my bare skin, too. They don't dry out or get sunburned, just need a quick daily polish. Ah, that's right, the books. All right, let's take a look. I don't remember checking any of these out for you. Did you go and check out with another librarian behind my back? Silly thing. I'm sure I told you to come and find me whenever you needed help. I can provide you with everything you need, you know. All right, let's see here. Oh, a beauty so rare in other poems. Are these love poems? Perhaps you're looking to woo someone with them. You know, a nice romantic poem always gets me. Ah, they're poems about nature. Well, I suppose that's romantic in its own way. Next is a treatise on the ethics of potions. Well, that's interesting. Trying to find out if it's wrong to slip someone a love potion, are you? You know, you wouldn't have to resort to that if... It's about the dangers of replacing traditional medicine with potions. I see. All right, look. It's late winter right now. You know what that means, right? The Festival of Hearts is almost here. You know, the one celebrating the goddess of love. The most romantic day of the year. You can't tell me you aren't even a little interested in having somebody to go with. Unless... Wait, are you in a relationship? If you are, you should have told me, and we could have avoided this whole awkward... You don't think that there's anybody who would be interested in going with you? What do you... Oh, wait a minute. Aw, look at you being so coy. And here I was starting to think that you weren't interested. All right. I'll admit the whole clueless dork act is pretty cute. I'll play along for now. Oh, right, the books. Because that's definitely what this is all about. Right. Well, I'll get to them later. You're a very trustworthy patron, so I'll trust that you didn't leave any out. Oh? And just where do you think you're going? To get more books. Always with the books. I mean, I guess it is a library. Still, don't you want to stay here for a little while longer? You know, just for a change of pace. I make for very pleasant company, you know. Oh, don't think you'll get away from me that easily. If you won't stay here with me, then I'll just have to follow you. I'm not known for giving up on what I want. It's the dragon in me. It's fine. I can take a break. The other librarians can handle it. So, what are you looking to learn about today? Anything I can help with? I'd be happy to do anything for you that you'd like. Anything at all. Aha! So you want to get to know me better? I thought so. So, what is it you want to know, hun? About my dragon blood. All right. Not what I was expecting, but I guess it's a fair question. Well, simply put, I'm mostly human, but I have a dragon ancestor. I believe she was my great-great-grandmother on my mother's side. I know, it's hard to imagine. When you think dragon, you probably imagine one of those big ones that are only slightly more intelligent than animals. But there are lots of different sorts of dragons. In particular, ones who are intelligent and skilled enough in magic to shapeshift. Yep, she was one of those. She fell in love with a human man, who had once tried to steal treasure from her hoard, funnily enough. And she took the form of a human so they could have children. As it turns out, bearing a child while shapeshifted does funny things to it. She knew that before, though. The baby just ends up with some minor attributes from the parent's original form. Yeah, so pretty much my whole family has some dragon-like attributes to them. It runs stronger in some than others, and it doesn't really seem to matter how closely related we are to her. My mother has barely any features at all, aside from her teeth and some small horns. But my brother is fully scaled and even has a snout. As you can see, I'm sort of in the middle. Yeah, I get that a lot. I probably would make for a really good fighter, if I was interested. But honestly, being part dragon is good for more than just fighting. What I've personally found most useful is the mindset that comes along with it. Dragons instinctively hoard things, and that gives them a good mind for organization and storage. That's what makes me such a good librarian. Some people find the job boring, but it's actually really satisfying for me. Of course, there are downsides too. I mentioned it a bit ago, but I can get a little bit obsessive about things, or even people, that I want. It's not like I'm about to resort to theft or kidnapping, but I start thinking about them all the time, and I have a hard time being subtle about wanting them, which, of course, you would have already noticed. Right. Of course you don't know what I... Hang on. Can we be perfectly honest with each other for a second? Because you're either a really, really good actor, or you really haven't noticed. Oh my goodness, my dear, sweet, adorable bookworm. What I want is you. As in, I'm interested in you. Yes, romantically interested. What else could I mean? What did you think I meant when I said all those things? About how lovely your skin looks, or how I want you to myself. I even said I'd do anything you wanted. Oh, honey, no, that's not me being nice. Being nice is when you smile at someone and tell them to have a good day. That was flirting, darling. I've been flirting with you every time you come in here ever since we met. Do you remember? Perhaps not. I'm sure it wasn't an unusual day to you. You were just going to the library, like you so often do. I had only been there a couple days, after getting recommended from a previous job at a much smaller library. Naturally, I deal with a lot of people in my line of work. Usually, when someone meets me for the first time, they do one of two things. Either they stare at me while trying to pretend they aren't, which is annoying, or they make a big fuss about how they don't judge based on appearance, which is even more annoying. But you were different. You asked me directly what I was, not in a rude or disgusted way, just mildly curious. I told you I was dragon-blooded, and you nodded and proceeded to check out your books. Of course, it's not like that was the only thing I liked about you. You're attractive and intelligent, even though you're hopeless at taking hints. But that's what drew my attention to you. So, let me say this now as clearly as I can. I want you. I want you to be my treasure, and nobody else's. I told you that I can be a bit obsessive, but I guarantee that I'll respect your personal space and privacy, just so long as you'll agree that, at the end of the day, you belong with me. In return, I'll care for you, protect you, and love you with all my heart. It felt good to say that out loud finally. Sorry, I know that was a bit intense. Just my dragon blood. Although, I think the human side of me feels pretty strongly for you, too. Anyway, what do you think? Really? Oh, thank you. Let me just... Wow. So, about that festival. Wanna go? Chapter 2. Oh, there you are. I've been waiting for you forever, dear. Come here, give me a hug. I missed you so much. Ever since we started seeing each other, it's become harder and harder to go without seeing that adorable face. I really wish we didn't have to ever be apart. It gets to the point where I have trouble concentrating on my work because I'm so busy thinking of you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry you. Really, it's only because I haven't been in a relationship for a while. I just need some time to get used to that hoarding instinct I have. Eventually, it'll be much, much more manageable. Although I'll always be a bit protective of you, and you'll catch me just staring at you from time to time. Yeah. Kind of like right now. Sorry, sweetie. It's easy to get lost in your eyes. Anyway, until I get readjusted, I'm going to have to make sure to get my fill of you whenever I get the chance. Which, in this case, means right now. Come on, I'm hoarding you. Right this very minute. What does that mean? Oh, why spoil the surprise? It's happening right now, whether you like it or not. So, you might as well just sit back and enjoy the ride. I'm kidding, of course. I wouldn't force you into anything, but I figured since you came to meet me anyway, you wouldn't mind. I just want to spend some time with you at my place for a little while, that's all. My instincts simmer down quite a bit when my treasure is safe in my home. So, shall we go? It's not far from here. Well, this is the place. It's pretty nice, right? Surprise, surprise. That's thanks to my instincts, too. I keep my cave in tip-top shape. All the better to keep my treasures safe. Now, if it would be all right, would you mind if I wrapped you up nice and tight in this blanket? It's all right if that sounds uncomfortable, but it would really help. Oh, thank you, sweetie. 1 second. Well, don't you just look so nice, safe and warm? That's perfect. Thank you so much. Now, while you're all wrapped up, I'll go ahead and cook us something to eat. How does chicken soup sound? Oh, lovely. I'll get started. Oh, of course, dear. Oh, what's your question? Of course. So, you're wondering why my instincts would apply to a person rather than ordinary treasure. Well, basically, a dragon's hoarding instincts isn't attached to any particular object. If it feels important to the dragon, then it will want to hoard it. People usually talk about dragons that hoard gold coins and jewels, but if you think about it, most dragons wouldn't have much use for them. But a few that use them for dealings with humans, or even just like the way they look, build up a sizable cache. Naturally, those are the hoarders that most people would be interested in talking about. But there are all sorts of other hoards dragons can have. Food, magical artifacts and such, even land in a few cases. Just so long as it's important. And there's nothing more important to me than you, dear. That's something that's actually unique to dragon-blooded humans. Dragons are really solitary and don't usually get very attached to others, even their mates. The mother raises her hatchlings herself and wouldn't have it any other way. But humans live their whole lives surrounded by others. They crave contact with others, and that's what makes it possible for a dragon-blooded to become so devoted to a person. The really interesting thing is, it doesn't have to be restricted to romantic interests. My mother is, well, she was about as cloying as a parent could possibly be. I mean, she loves me very much, but I could just never get a moment's peace. She was always checking in on me every hour of every day, making sure I had everything I could possibly want. It was great when I was a toddler, but you get to the point where you just want to be able to do things on your own. I'm lucky I have my brother, who she needed to divide her attention with, or I think I would have actually ran away. My dad really helped her pull back. He's half human, half elf. No dragon blood, so he did his best to remind her to give us some space. She did finally find a good balance, and she was able to pass on what she learned about self-control to me. But, come to think about it, I don't really know anything about your family. Do you have any siblings? How's your relationship with your parents? Oh, that's sweet. Are you close with your extended family, too? Have a favorite cousin? Oh, are you all right, hun? That's not a touchy subject, is it? Well, it's just that you flinched a bit when I mentioned cousins. Do you want to talk about it? Oh, so it has something to do with me, huh? Oh, well, you'd better get it off your chest. I'm not terribly fragile, so you don't have to worry about me. Ah, so he read The Sundering of Montague. Well, that does make sense. That's usually the source of complaints against relationships with half-humans. Have you read it before? Wow, I'm surprised. You're so well read. I would have assumed that you had. But maybe it's better that you hadn't. It tends to confuse people. Well, it's a collection of interviews from the inhabitants of a remote village called Montague. It was founded after a group of humans and a group of orcs tried to settle the Montague Valley at the same time. They were hostile to each other at first, but when winter hit, they had to cooperate to survive, and so they became friendly and merged into one group. There ended up being a lot of orc-human families. Things had been going pretty well for a long time, but one day another group of orcs came along. When the group left, so did every orc in the village, and nearly all of the half-orcs, aside from a few really young ones. The man who interviewed the remaining adult inhabitants, all full humans, got the impression that this is evidence that non-humans and half-humans would always maintain allegiance to their other half. The humans were understandably heartbroken, and by reading what they had to say, it really makes it seem like extra-species relationships are bound for misery and failure. What the author and humans didn't seem to understand, though, is that the cause was cultural, not genetic. And it was something unique to orcs at that one particular moment. You see, the most well-known and beloved stories in orc culture are of Greg the Great. He is a folk hero that they all love to tell tales about. There's even an enormous statue of him deep in the orc homeland. Well, it turns out that statue was in danger. A Gnoll tribe had managed to sneak deep into the orc territory and were setting up a siege on the city containing it. The orc who came to visit were looking for help, and all the orcs who had been raised on stories of Gurig the Great leapt at the chance, as did the half-orcs who had heard the stories from their parents. It was an opportunity to both defend an important cultural icon and to see it with their own eyes. There were actually a lot of humans that went as well. The ones who were left were the only ones who hadn't heard much of the stories and couldn't understand why they were so important. So, as you can imagine, their opinion of events was a bit different. Here's the worst part. After the book was already published and in circulation, the villagers who had left returned. So many orcs had come from all over to defend the city that the gnolls surrendered immediately, so there wasn't even any casualties. The author returned and got their side of the story and realized what a mistake he'd made. He wrote a new book covering the first, but it never gained as much popularity, so a lot of people never realized the truth. Oh, for sure. You should definitely tell your cousin about this. But I don't want you to get your hopes up. That book may have been where this idea of humans and half-humans aren't compatible started. But it's probably not the only source now. The problem is, since he read it, he's probably heard of other stories that support the idea. Some might be equally incorrect, but a few may raise legitimate concerns. I know that there are a few dragon-blooded who are terrible at reining in their hoarding instincts, who would make terrible companions. Thanks to the ideas he got from that book, he would have latched onto any stories like that and taken them as evidence. He might have otherwise not given them much thought, but now they're in his head. And knowing that the book was wrong won't necessarily change his mind. I don't want you to think that he's a lost cause. But chances are his biases were built up slowly, so they will need to be taken apart slowly. I am speaking from experience here. The first person I fell for had, unfortunately, read that book as well. It went about as well as you would expect. I kept trying so hard to make him understand that I wanted to be with him, but all the arguing and pestering just made him less and less trusting of me and other half-humans. I actually managed to bribe him to let me take him out to dinner, but it was just so awkward. He had made up his mind, so he had a hard time opening up. We drifted apart after that, but I ran into him years later. I was pretty surprised when he actually apologized for how he treated me. He'd gone off to become a soldier, and over time he'd run into lots of other soldiers who were in extra-species relationships. Each one made him more and more skeptical of all those things he'd heard before. He eventually dropped his bias altogether, thanks to that slow and steady exposure. So basically, don't expect him to accept us right away. Actually, I wouldn't assume that he ever will. Sometimes people are just too stubborn to change their mind. But in the end, that doesn't really matter. He doesn't have to believe that we have a future, as long as you and I do. Well, that conversation went in a direction I wasn't expecting. I guess you got to see my history geek side. But I have to admit, I had a bit of ulterior motive for bringing up family. You see, my mother is on her way over. Right now. Sorry, sweetie, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist. She's come a long way from how she used to be, but knowing I've been spending so much time with someone she's never met has been driving her crazy. It's either this or she'll eventually resort to stalking you. Yeah, I figured you'd prefer it this way. Don't worry, she's actually really nice. She's going to love you, I'm sure of it. And once she's satisfied that you'll treat me right, we can have the place to ourselves again. I have some fun ideas for what we can do once she's gone. Chapter 3. Oh, hello? Is that you, dear? Oh, just give me a second. Just don't come in just yet, please. All right, come in. I was just, my desk was messy. No, nothing's wrong. I'm just a little distracted. I was going over the book inventory for the library. We have a few that are unaccounted for. Yeah, I had to take work home with me. Just have to find out where those books went, you know? Could we talk in the living room instead? Like I said, the book is a bit of a mess right now. Well, it's messy to me. Remember, I am a very organized person. Thank you. So, what brings you here so early? You usually don't visit so early in the day, sweetie. Oh. Oh, dear. I am so sorry to hear about that. Losing your job is bound to feel disheartening. But at least it was because the business itself failed and not because of anything you did. I know how hard you can be on yourself when people get upset at you. Well, no need to worry, my dear. I can help you out until you get back on your feet. No, not at all. I'm thrilled to take care of you, dear. Don't worry about even a little bit. Well, why don't we work out how much you need? Let's see. Could you give me a piece of parchment? Oh, wait, I'll get it. No. It's fine. I'll get it. Well, wait, don't go into the study. Oh, goodness. This is so embarrassing. It's... It's a manuscript. I'm writing a romance novel. But it is embarrassing. I mean, what do I know about romance? You're basically the first person I've had a functional relationship with. And we haven't been together all that long. And yet I have all these thoughts and feelings welling up inside me. I just had to get them down onto paper. It's really not all that impressive. This is my first attempt at novel writing. I've read plenty of romance novels, of course, but I don't seem to be able to translate that experience into anything practical. I don't know. I'm not sure whether I'd ever actually get it published. It's just so personal. Well, it's based off of our relationship. The plot, most of the scenes are inspired by things we've done together, and the way I really feel about you. Well, yeah, you really inspire me, you know. It makes me want to express my feelings, and this is how I'm doing it. Yes, I know. It was a little silly of me to try and keep it a secret, since it's all my feelings for you. But even though my feelings for you are pure and true, my writing isn't. I haven't really been able to put my feelings into words. Oh, well, you know that old trope about the dragon who guards the princess and the knight that has to save her from the dragon? Well, this is sort of a play on that. It's sort of turned into a love triangle between the three of them. See? A love triangle, so cliche. That's what I'm saying. I have no idea what I'm doing. No, it's too embarrassing. I can't say any more. Oh, all right. But just because you're so cute. Well, of course, our relationship doesn't have any love triangle. Thank goodness. I went in that direction because I tend to see you in two different ways. When I first met you, I became enamored with you. I wanted you for myself. You became the treasure that I wanted to hoard away, and you still are. That's what the princess represents. But now that we've been together a bit, you're actually starting to do things for me besides just be a lovely jewel to admire. You make romantic gestures, say sweet things, and that's what the knight is. It's really cheesy, but It's how I feel about you. Being with you, I never know if I'm going to spend an evening melting as I gaze into your eyes, or getting swept off my feet by you. It's just so wonderful. What's the matter, sweetie? You seem a little down. Did I say something wrong? Don't feel worthy. Why in the world would you be feeling that way? I tell you that I love you every single day. I thought maybe I was getting to be overbearing, but is it not enough to convince you that I care about you? Oh, well, I'm sorry to tell you that you're wrong, my dear. Oh, well, I'm sorry to tell you that you're wrong, my dear. I would not say something like that just to be nice to you. I don't believe in comforting lies. Poor thing. I thought we'd put behind such feelings of inadequacy when I confessed my feelings to you. I want you, now more than ever. You don't have to worry about being good enough because you're already all that I want. Come here. Give me a hug. Poor dear. I am so sorry you've been feeling this way. I don't want you to ever have to feel inadequate with me. Oh, silly thing. I never cared about your job. Being employed isn't going to change a single thing about the way I feel about you. I know it might be discouraging, but you don't ever have to wonder about me judging you based on your work or lack thereof. You contribute plenty. You don't really believe that you have to buy me things in order to contribute to the relationship, do you? No. You do so much for me. You listen attentively when I share my feelings. You remember the things I say. You make romantic gestures and make me feel special. There are so many ways that you make me happy. All you need to worry about is making sure I feel loved. That is your role, and you do it splendidly. I honestly feel like I am the luckiest person in the world to be able to be with you. You love me for who I am without worrying about my race or my psychological quirks. Do you realize how rare that is? If there's anything at all that I can do to make you feel special, please tell me. I want to make sure that you understand that you are important to me and that I want to keep you. You are more valuable to me than a mountain of gold and jewels. In fact, I think there is something I can tell you right now. To be honest, I wasn't quite sure if I should bring this up yet. I'm always worried that I'm going to come on too strong. Here it goes. Do you want to move in with me? Of course I mean it. Honestly, I wanted you to live together with me since the moment I first saw you. I want to have access to you at all hours of the day. I want to know where you're going to be, know that you are safe. I want to take care of you and make sure that all of your needs are being addressed. Maybe you can see why I was worried that it might sound clingy, but it's the truth. I love you so much, and I want to be together with you as often as possible. So, in a way, I'm actually really happy that you lost your job. It's the perfect excuse for you to stay right here where I know that you'll be safe and provided for. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm not keeping you prisoner or anything. You can leave, obviously. But, well, I'm going to do my best to make sure that everything that you could possibly need is right here, along with me. You might not even want to leave. Really? Do you mean it? Oh, that makes me so happy. This is going to be great. This is going to be great for us. And listen, if you ever start to feel like you're not contributing, you can always handle the chores. I keep the place pretty neat, but you can find things to do to feel productive. Just remember, the only thing you really need to do is love me. Come here. Let's cuddle for a bit, sweetie. Your body feels just right against mine. Just the perfect size and shape for me to wrap my arms around. That's true. My body temp is pretty high. I can't breathe fire or anything, but at least it makes me a good cuddler. Not to mention my nice, smooth scales. As much as I wish I could just tell you not to feel inadequate again, I know it's not quite that simple. If you ever have thoughts like that again, please tell me, okay? I'll be sure to set you straight. You deserve to feel worthy and loved, because you are worthy and loved. I'll tell you that as many times as I have to, until it finally sticks. Chapter 4. Gotcha. Oh dear. It looks like the defensive little human just got caught by the big, strong dragon. What are you going to do? Or perhaps a better question is, what am I going to do to you? I know you just came in. It wouldn't have been much of a sneak attack if I didn't snatch you up the second you walked in the door. Now would it? Nope. You're not going anywhere, my little treasure. I've caught you, so I'm going to keep you. I'm sure you're not in the mood. That's why I'm doing this. You've gotten yourself stuck in a rut, and so it's my job to drag you out of it, whether you like it or not. Well, you'll have to forgive me for being a little bit more aggressive about showing my love today. Now that we're living under the same roof, I get to have you to myself so often. The more time I get to spend with you, the greedier I get for more. Shh. You don't have to talk about it. I'm not going to try and fix your problems for you. I'm going to fix your mindset so you can fix your problems for yourself. See, I know you. You really let your self-doubt keep you from making yourself happy sometimes. Don't you remember? Back before we started seeing each other, I would blatantly flirt with you all the time, but you just assumed that I was being nice. And do you know why I think you assumed that? Because you didn't think people would want to flirt with you. I've been watching your mood deteriorate lately. You haven't been very open about it, but I at least know that whatever's eating at you, you think it's out of your control. But I know you better than that. You are smart and kind and strong. There's nothing you can't handle, as long as you actually try. You can't give up so easily. So today is going to be all about helping you. I'm going to make sure you know just how wonderful you are and how much I love you. And we're doing that whether you're in the mood for it or not. Come here. Let's sit by the fire. I have a new rug that's so soft and thick it's almost like lying on a bed. We can get nice and warm and comfy here. You say no, but I know that deep down you really want someone to take care of you. Come here. That's it. Just like that. Let me wrap my arms around you. Now, isn't that better? Sit here in the arms of the one you love. I bet this is just what you needed, isn't it? It didn't take long for you to come around. I know what my precious treasure needs, after all. I promised you I'd take care of you, and I intend to. I have an idea. Lay your head down on my lap. I'll stroke your hair. You work so hard. I'm sure that sometimes it feels like no one notices everything you do. But I do. You've earned a break. You deserve to relax and take time for yourself. It's not something you need to feel guilty about. I'm rooting for you. Every single day I think about you. I think about how you're doing, and I think about what I can do to make you happy. And you know what? I'm not the only one. That's right. You are loved. You have so many people who want you to succeed. Not just friends and family either. There are people who have only known you briefly, but want the best for you because of that impression you left on them. I know it. How are we feeling? A little better? Good. But don't worry. I'm not finished with you yet. What would you say to having me read you a story? Great. I have it right here. Yes, it's a book of children's fairy tales. There's nothing wrong with indulging in a short, fanciful story every now and then, is there? Trust me, you'll enjoy it. Plus, there's something I want to share with you. This story is called The Bear in the Storm. It was one of my favorites when I was a child, which you may have your concerns about for reasons you'll see. Once upon a time, there was a young boy who lived in a small cabin in the woods with his parents. Every day, the boy would help his parents by gathering firewood. He didn't mind such chores because it gave him a chance to explore and play in the forest. But on one cold winter day, the children's parents warned him before he went out. "Don't stray too far from the cabin today," they said. "There's a storm on the horizon. We don't want you to get lost." The boy agreed and scampered outside. For a while, he did as he was instructed and didn't wander far. But there wasn't much firewood to be found nearby, and it wasn't very fun to play in such a well-explored area. Eventually, the child decided that there wouldn't be much harm in going a little further, and after that, a bit further still. Before long, he was in a part of the forest that they didn't recognize, due to how the snow changed the scenery. The boy didn't worry, though. After all he needed to do was follow his footprints home. He went further and further into unfamiliar woods. And just as he started to wonder if it was time to turn back, the storm hit. A small seed of worry rooted itself in the child's heart as the snow started to swirl around him. He started to follow his small footprints, but after a few minutes the howling wind and snow swept the trail away. The storm made it almost impossible to see where he was going. At that point, the child was truly starting to panic. He looked this way and that, but he couldn't decide which way he should go from there. Terrified, they huddled down and started crying. A few minutes passed by, and the boy heard the crunching sound of footsteps in the snow. They looked up to see an enormous bear. "What's all this crying? You woke me up from my winter sleep, little child," the bear said. The boy couldn't stop sobbing. "I'm lost, and I can't make it through this storm. Can I stay in your cave?" he asked the bear through his tears. The bear shook its head. "Foolish child, don't you know that bears eat lost children like you?" The boy's heart raced. He leapt to their feet and took off. He tried his best to remember the direction that he had come from. No time left for indecision or despair. He pushed through the storm, and the bear was never far behind. Finally, the boy could see a light. It was the small window of their cabin, illuminated from within by the warm hearth fire. The boy reached deep within himself and took hold of every bit of strength his tiny body could muster. He sprinted through the deep snow, heading towards the light. But just as he was closing into the cabin, the child tripped and tumbled down. The snow cushioned his fall, but he was down long enough for the bear to reach him. The boy cringed, waiting to feel the bear's jaws close around him. But nothing happened. The boy opened his eyes to see the bear offering a paw to help him up. He accepted, and the bear laughed heartily at his baffled expressions. "I never said I would eat you, child. I just said not all bears are as kind as I am. You shouldn't ask a dangerous stranger for help." The bear looked over at the cabin. "And look at that. You weren't as lost as you thought you were, and you were more than a match for this storm. It wasn't the storm that kept you from home, but only doubt." The bear waved farewell and lumbered away, and the child hurried inside, hugged his parents tightly, and curled up by the warm fire. The end. Well, what did you think? I'm thrilled you liked it. My sister always thought I was so strange for liking a story about a boy being chased by a bear, but it always struck a chord with me. And did you catch the message? I'll give you a minute if you need it. Quick as ever. That's right. Doubt can do more to stop you from reaching your goals than anything that life throws at you. You just have to trust yourself and find your motivation. It's not always an easy thing. Sometimes you might not be up to the task at hand, but I know that you can do more than you think you can. I guess what I'm saying is, you've got this. Chapter 5. Is that you, darling? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask you not to come into my room today. I'm sick. Oh, no, it's fine. It's nothing serious. But it would be better not for you to come near me today, okay? No, you don't have to trouble yourself with all of that. I don't need any soup or tea. I'm just going to rest. I'm afraid you'll have to just fend for yourself today. Darling? That sounded like one of my pots. You're not making soup, right? I told you I don't need any. You're so stubborn sometimes. Fine. But just leave it at my door. Don't come in. Sorry if that sounded curt. I'm tired and it's making me weird. As long as you're making the soup, would you mind making it just broth and meat? No noodles or vegetables or anything, please? No, I know. But I don't need it anyway, so it might as well just be the stuff that I actually enjoy. Thanks, sweetie. You're the best. Oh, is it ready? Okay, then. Like I said, just leave it by the door. Oh, like I said, it's no big deal. A fever and some achiness. Nothing at all to worry about. What? No! No, you're not going to just risk it. I'm not telling you to stay out because I'm contagious. It's because... Now you've done it. Come here. Shush. Spilled soup is the least of your worries now. I'm afraid you're just stuck with me for the rest of the day now. I tried to warn you to stay away because I knew you had stuff to do today, but now all your plans are out the window. All right. Where do I begin? Well, do you remember how I was out visiting my mother a couple of days ago? It seems I caught soot snout from her. I'm not surprised you've never heard of it. It's a dragon disease. That's why I said I'm not worried about being contagious. You can't get sick from it. But as a dragon-blooded, I can. The problem is that because it's a dragon disease, the dragon side of me is taking hold in order to fight it back. So I don't really have much control over myself right now. You notice all the books? I might have taken them all from the library on my way home last night. I know. I'll take them back as soon as I'm better. But I can't help it right now. I'm hoarding. And, lest you forget, you are my most valued treasure. No, this time I am really holding. I've had to deal with compulsions before, but this time my instincts are in full force. I was barely able to hold myself back from snatching you up because you weren't in the room with me, but now I can't stop myself. So, basically, you're stuck in this bed with me for at least the rest of the day. I'll probably be feeling well enough tomorrow to let you go, but we'll just have to see. I suppose, as long as we're going to be here, we ought to think of something interesting to do together. Well, I suppose I should be glad that you're still the same adorable, clueless human that I fell in love with. All right, that's fine. So, want to know about soot snout? It's not very serious a disease. It's sort of like a dragon's version of the cold, for the most part. The worst symptom of soot snout is supposed to be the difficulty breathing fire. It mostly comes out in smoke instead, hence the name. But, obviously, that's not a problem for me since I can't breathe fire. That is a very rare ability for dragon-blooded. The only one I know who can do that is my grandpa. In the case of dragon-blooded, the worst part of almost any dragon disease is the strengthening of our dragon side. It changes all sorts of things. Aside from hoarding, I also get a really strong craving for meat. Oh, speaking of which... yeah, I guess the soup's just a lost cause now that it's all over the floor. Sorry you went through all of the work for nothing. Nope, not happening. I'm too tired to go to the kitchen. It took everything I had to wrestle you into bed, and I'm not letting you leave me. The soup will have to wait until I've rested. That's exactly what I've been saying. The hoarding is a pain. It's not my fault you didn't listen to me. Although, I have to admit, I am a little glad that you didn't listen. I feel a little less blah now that you're here with me. I wanted you to be able to do the things you needed to do today, but it's no fun suffering alone. You really have a talent for making me happy just by being around. I'm not sure if I'll ever know exactly what it is about you that makes me feel so light. Oh, well, isn't that sweet? Well, I'm very happy that I make you feel the same way. I know my dragon side makes me a little unpredictable sometimes, but in the end, it's all because of how much I love you. I want to kiss you some more. Maybe I won't let you go in the morning. Maybe I'll just keep myself all wrapped up around you forever. Wouldn't that be nice? Psh, food. I like to eat, don't get me wrong. But why would I waste my time with that when I could be having so much more fun gobbling you up? What's the matter? Getting bashful. How funny for you to be so nervous about spending time with me. We've been lovers for... how long has it been now? A while. Oh, am I? Well, maybe I'm being extra passionate because you are being extra adorable today. Or, maybe it's a fever. Who knows? Either way, I hope you're prepared for how the rest of this day is going to go. Your natural naivete can only protect you for so long. Sooner or later, I'm going to get through to you. We should do this again sometime when I'm not sick. Being all snuggled up with you and not worrying about how much time I have for it is really nice. It would be nice if I didn't feel all gross while it was happening. But of course, the worst part of this is the tiredness that's going to come afterwards. I've had such snout before, and it always takes a lot out of me. Even after I get better, I'll be tired and groggy for a couple of days. Which isn't so bad, aside from the fact that it's really going to make it hard for me to plan the... Well, never mind. Anyways, I think we were talking about how cute you are today. Oh, sure. Now you're suddenly so observant. I can drop double entendres all day and you don't notice, but one half-finished sentence and now you're some kind of detective. Well, no point in hiding it anymore, then. I've been planning a vacation for us. Well, of course I didn't tell you. First of all, it was supposed to be a surprise. Second, I know for a fact that if I let you get involved in the planning, you'll keep trying to insist on scaling things down because you don't want me to spend money on you. See? You've got to stop thinking like that. I want us both to have a good time. You don't need to feel guilty just because you're between jobs. I'm happy to spend money for things that you enjoy. Ah, but you're forgetting. I don't care about money or gold because that's not my treasure. You are. Money doesn't do me any good if I'm not using it to keep me and my treasure healthy and happy. I'm starting to get really sleepy. All this excitement has taken a lot out of me, darling. I'm gonna get a little shut-eye. I told you, didn't I? I'm keeping you with me, whether you're tired or not. You're staying right here in bed with me. And don't think you can sneak away from me when I've fallen asleep. I'm going to keep a nice, tight grasp on you. You feel nice. Like a warm, comfy body pillow. Good night, my darling treasure. We'll talk again when I wake up.